as you stated, the border crisis is going to be a hot topic, and it's going to be something that Biden's going to have to contend with because, like this particular unaliving here in Georgia, people are going to focus on that. People are going to focus, even though, and honestly, I would think friends that I have that did come into this country and from Mexico and other countries and are here now as civilians, it even hurts them because people, would look at them a little bit sideways because suddenly you have an illegal that was let into the country that committed a heinous crime. And so I think they would actually even support and say, well, yeah, let's do a better job because it's guys like this, like you said, even if it's one in 10,000.
Well, but I will tell you this. I kind of agree with it to say, tell you this. I don't care what you let in here. It could be 100 baboons, 100 Africans, 100 people from France. One of them is likely to commit a crime in a crowd that is 10 million strong or whatever the number is. The idea that, some of them are going to commit, they're not going to be a perfect crowd. I get whether they come legally or illegally. Some of them are going to eventually commit a crime. What I disagree with is trying to hype them up to all be demons. And that is what Trump is doing, is overstating it. I agree with folks in the audience. One is too many. I get that. But that doesn't justify just lying and demonizing the entire group of people. William, could you not understand how some people would look at Trump's demonization as intolerance to that whole group of people?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Tim.
All right, well, that's where we're at. I do got to move it on, though, William. And by the way, thank you for your generosity, too, by the way. Appreciate that.
Oh, no problem. I enjoy your lives, Tim, and I don't come up and participate a lot, but I enjoy coming up into yours and participating. There's a lot of lives on here that are not so friendly to everyone. And actually, I'll tell you the truth, some of these other lives, and like you said, I know it goes both ways. I realize that. The Republicans, if you go in there like yourself and you're spouting out kind of views, you're going to get jumped on, and I see it happening in the Democratic lives because for some reason I don't know why I gravitate to go see.
A lot of folks just simply do not like dissenting opinion, William. So understand when you come here, though, we don't talk down the guests, and we certainly don't limit you or try to block you because you got a difference of opinion.
You do a really good job. I enjoy your lives, and that's why I try to sort of contribute and support the live.
Well, your support is appreciated. My doors are always open to you. Have a good one.
You too, man.
All right. So looking in the comments real quick, throw your bank card away says, I don't get what that comment means, but Mexico will pay for it. Yeah, didn't Trump say Mexico? Now, in somewhat of a defense of Trump, folks would suggest that he wasn't expecting Mexico to write a damn blank check. He was expecting to get the trade imbalance under wraps with Mexico and use that money to pay for the wall. That was the way, but he stated it in a way that exposed him to, ridicule, because he came out and said, well, no, Mexico's going to pay for the wall. Left him exposed to saying it. So that's kind of how that worked. And at the end of the day, Mexico did not pay for the wall. I believe President Biden was able to get some cash out of them to defend their border. And why Biden is not going from city to city bragging about, I don't know, and I will say that in regards to President Biden. Everything he's done for the country while he's been president has not all been bad, like some of his detractors say. Both of the guys have done some good. Biden is just awful, and I mean awful with messaging. For instance, credit card late fees. That's certainly something that could affect folks on the lower end of the socioeconomic scale. He had credit card late fees capped off at $8. Most credit cards, if you're late on the payment, they can charge you as much as $30 some odd. He capped it off at $8, saving credit card holders. I think it was in the billions. It was in the billions. They're making a killing off of non-sufficient fund fees, which is another aspect of finances that he capped off as well. He should be bragging about that. He should be bragging that he stopped corporate America from ripping off folks who are just trying to pay their bills and maybe had a little bit of time needed to pay a credit card bill. He's not saying anything about that, and a lot of folks don't know what happened. Everything under the Biden administration has not been bad. He's just not good at messaging. Going back to the box, somebody said he ripped us off. Maybe he'll do it tonight. Tonight is a night you got to talk about the border. Perhaps talk about abortion. Credit card late fees, you can get at maybe a sentence. It ain't gonna, people don't want to hear that right now. Going back to the box, that's what the rallies are for. Continuing on, we'll go straight to Cecil Grant. Good afternoon, Cecil. Welcome to the program. Do you have your mind made up, Cecil?
Well, I definitely have my mind made up, but there was a couple of things that I've been watching you, and I wanted to speak on over the last week. I'm a New Yorker.
Okay.
And you know,
are you going to talk to me? Are you going to talk to me like a typical New Yorker, Cecil?
I don't know what you call a typical New Yorker.
Just go ahead. Go ahead.
I was born in the city. I lived in Boston for 20-something years. I came back. I live in upstate New York. Got sick of the rat race in the city. Beautiful place. I live in the Adirondacks.
Okay.
And it's dairy country. It's farming country. It's beautiful America up here. You know, it's I get out, you know, four-wheeling, whatever.
Okay.
But my point was, they said that it wasn't affecting New Yorkers, or it was affecting New Yorkers because of Trump's fraud. But what's in the midst of us chasing this fraud, so many things are happening behind the scenes to New Yorkers that are not being spoken about.
Like what?
We're getting bills passed.
Move.
Like 2.13, where the health department can decide we can come yank you out of your house if you have Lyme's disease. You know, I mean, you can look it up. It's there.
Wait.
I mean,
Why is that happening?
Why is it happening?
Yeah.
Well, the demons of New York want complete control. You know, I mean, we're sending the National Guard down and harassing working people instead of trying to protect the criminal elements from harming people on the subways. You know, they're bitching about sending them to the they're bitching about sending them down to the border, but in New York they want to put them on the subways and have them search your bags as you're going to work. I mean, we're not cleaning up the mess. We're adding to the mess.
Here's the problem I have, though. I'll push back on this, Cecil. In New York, we had a lot of Second Amendment folks. At least what I heard. You're there, so maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but they fought to be allowed to carry firearms in the city on the subways. So you fight for this, and now you're complaining that people want to search you. I mean, some folks, maybe they don't want to ride with that on them. They don't want to ride next to that on the subway.
Yeah, but we talk about, well, this stop and frisk was a bad thing, right?
Right.
Harassing the working man, you know, like in the state of New York, I find it funny, but I've always supported the police because they do a job, right or wrong, and there's a lot of bad in everything, and I know there's some real dirtbag cops, I know there is, but they do a job that most of us mentally couldn't handle.
True.
You know, I mean,
True.
they walk into things that most of us really couldn't handle, right?
Right.
But in New York, I call them tax collectors.
Oh.
Because if you're sitting outside at 5:30 in the morning, you're not looking for a criminal. You're waiting for the working man to be doing 10 miles over the speed limit so you can get some money. Yeah. You know, our dairy industry is gone to shit, but up here. And we were like, this is like home of dairy. You know, if you look in history of America, New York was like, you know, where a lot of the dairy began, you know. And we're just shitting it away. You know what I mean? I mean, it's gone.
Well, but let me ask you this Lyme disease thing. I'm really curious. You're saying they can come in your house and test you for this against your will?
No, not even test you. They can take you read it. But I really, people need to educate themselves what New York is doing behind the scenes instead of worrying about chasing. And I get it if you broke the law, right? But when it comes to the fraud, how many Americans that haven't worked in years claimed unemployment when COVID happened? Where's the fraud there? Where's our, you know what I mean? Where's our dollar being protected there?
Well, and this is where I talked about earlier about Biden, not his messaging not being as good. Remember, they were hiring all those IRS agents. Biden signed he signed into legislation extending the statute of limitation, I think until 2032, added 10 years on it. So people who fraudulent receive PPP loans, maybe some of the unemployment stuff you're talking about, they now can be held accountable all the way up to the year 2032. So what you're asking for, where is the accountability? It may be coming. Because even if Biden does not get reelected, the next administration, due to Biden's law, has the right to come and hold you accountable for getting fraudulent PPP loans or maybe insurance while you had a job. So give it time. It may come.
Well, and if that went through, then there's something I can find that he did something good with.
It's law. It definitely went through. It is the law.
Because it's you know, all these people, and I get it, man, I would love the government to hand me a check every now and then and say, hey, this is just because. But, you know, if you look at the people that are filing their taxes now, and a lot of that is all the free money we gave away that somebody's got to recoup.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's, I mean, it's common sense. They're going to come recoup it. You know? Yeah. I mean, my wife has been injured for over a year, so I lost that income. Like she got hurt at work. She's a home health aide, okay?
Okay.
And she broke her femur in 8 places, all right?
How the hell you do that?
Huh?
How do you break your femur in 8 places? Was she in a plane accident?
She was actually coming off a metal ramp. She's a home health aide for the elderly. She was carrying groceries, and her leg went out from underneath her. So in the middle of her getting better, she fell again because a doctor said, hey, go on a cane. She broke her hip on the same side. Okay? And I'm not, you know, hey, accidents happen. That's my wife.
I've never heard of one bone being broken in 8 places. I mean, that sounds like a plane crash or something. That's really bad.
It looked like a plane crash, and it went right into the socket of her knee. Right at the end of her femur connecting to her knee. Which is, the femur is like one of your...
It's the biggest bone. It's the biggest, strongest bone in the body.
Yeah. So in the process of this, we had some guy from Comp, right, that said, well, we're going to argue about a $40 therapy bill, and they stopped her physical therapy.
Well, I gotta push back. See, so this is the time when Obama was pushing for universal health care, and folks on the right, the side where you're looking at, were so adamant against it and telling everybody you should be able to pay your own health care. If you get a job, they'll give you health care, knowing that the corporations were giving us less and less health care. Your side may be responsible for how your wife is getting treated.
Well, I don't have health care. I raised my 21-year-old daughter without a spot of health care. And for 12 years...
Yeah, your daughter never had her femur broken in 8 places either. Otherwise, you may have already had this problem.
No, but along to that Obamacare, but for 8-10 years, I paid a penalty for not having health insurance. Yeah. You know, which doesn't make sense. You know what I mean?
Well, just like if you don't dial 911, you still pay for it. Are you suggesting that if nothing happens in my house, I shouldn't have to contribute to 911 dispatch?
Oh no, I pay my taxes.
Right.
I complain about paying my taxes.
Then that's how that works.
But if I'm a person that, first of all, if I'm a person that can't afford to pay health insurance because the prices are outrageous, because fortunately I'm not one that's sickly and I don't get ill, you know what I mean? So why should I be penalized? You know, where did that make sense that I should be penalized because a 20-year-old don't have health insurance?
Yeah, you're getting penalized because of all the resistance the right put up to Obamacare. It should be just like 911. When you need to call, you get assistance. The cops don't charge you. They don't itemize what they did. That was the type of health care that Obama was trying to give. But because there was so much Republican resistance, we have this Universal Care Act now that you don't like, but it is your party that was pushing against that.
Well, see, actually, when it was passed, I was actually voting Democrat. See, I switched to the Republican Party.
Okay, then it was your party, not the party you were in at the time. The party you were in now is the reason why universal health care is not anywhere near as complete as Obama wanted it.
I think because, you know, when we do these bills and we pass all these policies, you know, we can't pass them on face value, right? You know, like everybody talks about infrastructure, but in the infrastructure bill, we're paying other countries to worry about gender care. I mean, what does that have to do with our infrastructure? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with you on that. If that's the case, I totally agree with you on that. But I do got to move it on, see, so you know what we got to do. Do appreciate you coming in.
Yeah.
Anytime, man.
Being able to spout and just have a good day, bro.
You too. All right, moving the program on. And real quick, I don't know what the hell's going on YouTube. Yeah, I don't know if I'm being shadow banned or whatever, but the numbers on YouTube are unusually low. We usually have multiples of what's happening. So for you folks that are tuned in on YouTube, I would ask that you smash the like button. It may help out because we normally have 400 or 500 people in here. So I don't know why the numbers on YouTube are so low, but something's going on. I believe healthcare should be affordable and available to everyone. Should have options to choose what you want. I'm not down for government getting into things that make taxes and costs go up. Marcus, there's no way to make sure everybody's insured without taxes and costs. There's just no way to do it. Right now, if you look at what healthcare was like at the end of George W. Bush's term, it is pretty clear that the employers, the companies, the corporations we all work for, they don't want to insure us. The quality of healthcare before Obama became president was going down and down and down. Even if you had a job, every year they're coming up with a cheaper and cheaper way to insure you. Your deductibles, your copays are going up, and the amount of coverage that employer provided plan gives you is going down. They didn't want to insure us, and it's still happening like that. If you work in anywhere in corporate America, every time they change your plan, it's generally worse. Somewhere in there, it is worse for you. You're paying more per month, more out of your paycheck. Some kind of coverage has been reduced. It has been happening 20, 30 years easy. We need universal health care like the rest of the free world. Not to mention, we now work in a society where employers, employees do not have a relationship based on loyalty like it used to be. Used to be you come out of high school, you work somewhere for 30 years, you retire. It's not like that anymore. If you, throughout your working life, you got tons of gaps while you're looking for a job, getting laid off, switching, whatever. There's a lot of people who have a month, 2 months, a year, they go without a job until they find the next one. The way our system is set up now, the people don't have insurance. They do not, nobody can afford Cobra after they just lost their damn job. So we need to divorce, for lack of a better word, divorce healthcare from employment. The two should not be connected. Just like I mentioned with dialing 911. You shouldn't only be able to dial 911 if you got a job, because when you don't have a job, that's when you can least afford it. So we need to separate employment from healthcare, period. Looking in the box, and used to be any gap in coverage made you ineligible for new insurance. Yeah, that's another accolade of Obama. He really actually did a lot for healthcare despite the amount of resistance. He got a lot through. And by the way, that's why Trump could not repeal and replace that. Too many Republicans are like, this actually is good shit. We like this. Going back to the box. Moo, the tuxedo cat, appreciate you holding there. Moo, I know, Moo, you have your mind made up, right?
Healthcare, I knew we would turn you into a progressive, my man.
I've always, listen, I lived in Australia for 5 years and I've seen universal health care. None of them want to pattern their healthcare after America. Canada don't want to do it. The UK, none of them look at the American healthcare system and like, damn, I want that. None of them do.
So let me answer your question here, man. I have about a 3 when it comes to confidence in Biden.
Whoa.
Yeah. It's up in the air, man, honestly. I mean, I never said he was going to win, right? I hope he wins, you know? But as far as attacking Trump, I mean, you know, I kind of take offense when you say people don't attack him for his policies. Because I attack him, I often attack him for his tax cuts.
Hang on, real quick. I want to elaborate on that. Real quick, Yahoo on YouTube, I will address that, and thank you for that super chat. I will address your statement in a minute. Give me Trump's policy, Moo. What policy of Trump do you attack him on?
So the TCJA, which is the tax cuts for the rich, right? The corporate tax cuts. So what happens is, you know, you give corporate tax cuts and then the deficit goes up because the government has to make up for the difference in the taxes that they're no longer collecting from the corporations, right? And then what happens is the rich people hang on to that money and they don't usually end up spending it. They send it to their offshore accounts. So then you have to print more money because now they just hang on to that money. So that makes even more inflation. So if you want to blame on inflation on anybody, you can blame Trump for the inflation because he contributed to it heavily. Trump deregulated several environmental protections to try and make it easier for bureaucracies to pollute your air, your water. He wants to drill more. And I'll tell you a funny thing, man. The CEO of ExxonMobil was on in an interview the other day. We don't refine our own oil here. Just so you know, we can't refine the oil that we pull out of the ground in America because our refineries aren't equipped to do it. This is another reason why when Trump says drill, baby, drill, you should be like, you're an idiot, right? Because we have to, we export that oil. We import our oil from Canada because we're able to refine that oil. Our refineries are able to handle that. The CEO of ExxonMobil is saying this himself, so you don't need to take my word for it. But you guys don't know what the hell you're talking about.
But let's go with what you're saying. But let's go with what you're saying. If we drill our own oil and we export it, we get money for exporting it, which still would allow us to buy oil that we can refine.
Sure, but you know, how much are they charging you, and how much are you making?
Then I can't speak on that.
What you're buying?
Well, at the end of the day, though, if you're drilling this oil that we can't refine, the money is making us better off. I don't know how much is being charged here or there, but you're making money by doing it.
No, you're giving subsidies to all these companies to drill oil that you can't refine. Right? So I don't think, and I would have to look at the math, but I can guarantee you, whatever you're getting from exports isn't covering the amount of subsidies that you're giving to these oil companies. Guaranteed.
Yeah, see, that I can't speak on. I'm just simply saying that some money is being made by drilling and fracking, whether or not we can refine it or not. They're doing it for a reason. If we're not using it, they're obviously making money by shipping it out.
And the main idea here is, right, that shit is polluting your water, it's polluting your air, and he cut environmental protections. He sold off parkland, he sold off public lands so that these fuckers can keep drilling on your land and polluting your water, right, giving you earthquakes and wildfires, right? And he deregulated all of that. So yeah, I attack Trump on his policies all the time. His children's separation, and here's the thing. I don't need to mention any other president, okay? If I criticize Trump, I don't need to compare him to any other president, okay? You MAGA started this bullshit where I have to criticize, but all of a sudden I have to compare him to somebody. No, Trump's separation of children was bullshit. I don't care if another president's done it. Another president ain't in office right now, okay? He was in office. He separated children. I don't need to criticize another president for it, although I would.
Well, the reason why
the other one ain't, right?
Well, the reason they're going to bring up Obama did it too or whatever is they're going to say they're going to say you have hypocrisy where all of a sudden Trump's
sure hypocrisy, right? You know, like the Christians in the Republican Party aren't full of that, right? I mean, that's absolutely crazy, man. They're full of hypocrisy.
I don't disagree that there's a lot of hypocrisy in this country. I certainly don't disagree with that. But some of the things you were mentioning, us on the left can see. But when you start talking about the economy, like earthquakes from fracking and things like that, the right don't subscribe to climate change even being a real issue.
Hang on, man. I'm sorry. I actually have to bounce, man.
Hey,
Bad.
you know how we do. Come on back tomorrow. We'll talk. All right, moving the program on real quick on YouTube. Yo, Tim, keeping us safe rideshare. Thank you, Yahoo. We do talk rideshare in the actual videos. You support some dim policies, but also Trump. Biden lose for failed proxy wars, mostly Ukraine, Middle East. I don't know if Trump can get us out of the proxy war with the Ukraine-Russian war. I know Trump has stated he can end it in 24 hours. I don't buy that for the simple fact that when Trump was in office, didn't he bomb Syria, sent a bunch of Tomahawks to Syria? Russia was there, and we were fighting an entity that was in Syria that was backed by Russia. That was a much, much, much smaller proxy war, but that happened under Trump. I mean, that's a proxy war where Russia is in that country, aiding the leadership in that country, and we're firing missiles in that country to take out folks who are Russia friendly. That happened under Trump. He didn't end that in 24 hours. He kind of ignored it. So I don't know if I agree with President Trump because he stated he could end the Russian-Ukrainian war in 24 hours. I don't buy that. I don't buy it. I don't think Putin would make it that easy at this point. Both Putin and Zelensky of Ukraine both see the other side as war criminals. I don't think they're just going to forget that shit because Trump tried to make a deal with them. I don't see it. But never know. Some, like in the comments, D said, I think he could. Look, maybe. I just don't think so. Ginger beard, rather. Good afternoon. I'm about to say gingerbread. Ginger, I think he possibly could, says Shelley. Well, he possibly could. I just don't think he would. I just don't think that Putin is done with the Ukraine. Only way I can see Trump ending that war is by giving the Ukraine to Russia. If he makes it so we no longer assist the Ukraine at all, that war ends pretty damn quick because the Ukraine can't do anything without continued assistance of the United States. And I do believe Trump might be willing to do that. So possibly. Took the words right out of my mouth. Handsome. Thank you, Lady T. And many folks believe that Trump would just get a Ukraine to Russia. Yeah, hey, war's over. We're out of it. Okay, we're not going to send them money. MAGA's okay with that. We're not going to put troops on the ground. Most Americans are okay with that. We're going to get out of global affairs. MAGA's okay with that. We're home. We got all our money back. We're not sending any money overseas. At least MAGA is happy. But the internet would be loaded with Ukrainian deaths and a lot of towns and villages being conquered by Russians that are likely committing all sorts of war crimes, raping and pillaging. We wouldn't care. I believe that's what would happen. Is because that's how it started, is Russia going in there doing some pretty horrible shit. What about Yemen? What about Yemen? Other than the Houthis and they're firing drones and shit. What about, you want us to invade Yemen? Yemen has been an enemy of the United States probably most of our lives. What about Yemen? But Yemen doesn't really have an organized government. Yemen is like Somalia or Venezuela. They don't, I mean, what are you going to do? You want another Black Hawk Down on your hands? Going back to the box, I don't know what happened with my last caller, but we will continue the program on with Frank. I cannot, Safico? Ukraine is committing war crimes, says Aerial View. Possibly, but the war is not in Russia. The war is in the Ukraine. So you're saying that the Ukraine is committing war crimes towards its invaders? Are the war crimes taking place in Moscow, in St. Petersburg, or are they happening in Kiev? They're happening in Ukraine. Just go home. Russia could just leave. They don't have Ukrainian soldiers in their sovereign territory. It's the Ukrainians that are dealing with Russians walking around, tanks going down the street. War crimes, just go home and it's over with. No war crimes. Just go home, get the hell out of our country, and it's over with. That's the solution is simple. Deals were made that NATO wouldn't expand, says Rick. That is true. That is true, but deals were also made that if Russia, or better yet, the Ukraine got rid of their Soviet-era nukes, they would be defended against anybody invading them, such as Russia, America, or the UK. Ukraine was flirting with NATO. They're not like Sweden. By the way, Sweden became a member of NATO today, I believe. Today, Sweden is now a member of NATO. Ukraine hadn't secured that. Russia did not have the right to invade them. I mean, and all of this neo-Nazis, biolabs, that's not a reason to invade a foreign country. We got all of that shit in America. All of that. Neo-Nazis, biolabs, all of the things that we accuse the Ukraine, all of that's in America. You think we are worthy of an invasion for it? No. I'm having trouble with the box. We'll try it one more time here. Ukraine is corrupt. So is America. So is damn near every country on earth has some corruption in it.
Hello.
Good afternoon. I can't. Is it Herniak?
Yes, it's Herniak.
Okay. All right. Appreciate you coming. So, do you have your mind made up already? Yeah, Grandma. Thank you.
Yes.
You do.
And I was actually going to comment about what you said earlier, but Trump is not going to be able to fix it. I already know because I was born in Russia, but I was raised in the United States. So, and I've worked. I'm a government translator, so I work with the politicians all the time.
So you speak Russian? Obviously,
I do.
yeah. I don't know what that means, but it sounds sexy as hell. So I like it. I like it. So I'll play James Bond. They don't want a black one, but I'll be the black James Bond. So let me ask you, what do you think about what Russia is actually doing? Do you side with what you think Russia had a legitimate reason to do what they did?
No.
No. Wow. So
Putin is a monster, and Trump is idolizing him. And I've seen it.
yeah, I think he's made it clear he favors Putin. So when he says he can end it in 24 hours, you're like, no way.
Yeah, no way. And without a massive unaliving, no way.
Yeah.
He's going to let Russia do some massive unaliving, and then they're going to say it's done. That's exactly what's going to happen if Trump thinks he's going to get it done within 24 hours. I have heard things. I can't exactly tell you what I've done because of my job.
Understood.
But I can give roundabouts, not specific names. But he's a monster. And the United States knows. But they are, in their brains, they are at the point where they think they need a monster to get people in line. They want that control. They want it.
You said the United States
completely control the citizens.
Now you're not saying the United States wants a monster in Putin, are you?
No, they want a monster like Putin.
Oh, America wants we want a leader like Putin over here?
Oh yeah. That's Trump.
You see
That's why MAGA is so powerful.
You see comparables looking at Putin as a dictator. You see comparables to him and Trump.
Yes, because Trump is idolizing him and wants to do things that Putin does.
Give me some examples.
He wants to restrict women. Women should not be higher than men or equal to men.
Folks are going to say they disagree with that. They're going to say they're just returning rights to the states and it's not being done at the federal level.
But thing is, you also got to realize the states, not all the people in the state legislature is not doing right either. It's a big circle. If you have the head wrong, it's going to trickle down. It's just like in every business. If you have a really horrible owner, you're going to have really horrible business.
Oh, yeah. Wow. I didn't expect to get someone out, because normally we get folks who are pro-Russia. So for you to say Putin is a monster, what do you think of Zelensky? I don't know if you've ever been to the Ukraine. They do speak a different language too, right?
My husband's Ukrainian, so yes, I do.
Oh, so you guys are like a regular war couple. So Ukrainian, is it a different language or a derivative of Russian or what?
It's a different dialect, really. Okay. It's almost the same. There's a few words that are different.
Like England,
It's more of a dialect difference.
like going from America to England almost.
Correct. It's
Okay.
kind of like that, yes.
Okay, so it's pretty similar. Now, I don't know a lot of history in that region. I've been told that the Ukraine used to be part of Russia. Are we talking just Soviet era stuff, or did the Ukraine literally, was it a part of Russia?
At one point, it was. It was
Okay.
part of the Soviet Union.
So, but the Soviet Union is like NATO, where you guys are a team, but you don't own, you guys are not.
Correct.
Yeah, so, but it wasn't, there was never a time when the Ukrainian territory was called Russia. It was just part of the
No.
Soviet Union.
Correct. It was part of the Soviet Union, but it wasn't called Russia.
Okay. What about the biolabs and neo-Nazis and corruption that everybody alleges?
That's everywhere.
Yeah.
And if you think it's bad in Ukraine, if I'm not going with the and to a comment in there, I'm actually not a Democrat either. So I'm not a Republican.
Fair
I'm not
enough.
a Democrat, so I don't follow either one of them fully. I'm independent.
Okay.
Anyway, that's everywhere.
Yeah.
If you think if they want to sit here and just amplify the little thing in Russia, and not Russia, but Ukraine, because I've been to Ukraine too. I visited my husband's family. I was there right before it started hitting off.
Yeah. So
I literally saw the soldiers coming in.
So you were right there, what, a couple years ago when the invasion was about to happen?
Yeah, right beforehand. They were just doing a standstill right there on the border,
Wow.
and I saw it.
Yeah, they were lying at that.
Lining up.
Yeah, they were lying at that time, talking about it was just some type of drill or something like that. And I believe America was telling them, like, no, they're sending medics and everything, and they're about to come in your country. I think at the time Zelensky was downplaying it, like he was refusing to accept that it was about to happen.
He did. He didn't want it to happen.
Yeah.
It's more of those things that you don't want it to happen, so you're gonna hope for the best.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. A couple questions came in on you because I read it on YouTube simultaneously. Someone said Putin had his back against the wall. What did we think he was going to do? Ball up in a corner like Sonic the Hedgehog. In other words, he's saying that the Ukrainians were flirting to become members of NATO, which would have put a NATO member nation across the street, literally across the street from Russia. So he acted in defense of his own nation. What say you?
I think that he's doing it to America now. I don't know if you know, he's trying to get Alaska back.
Is he?
No,
What?
Yeah, he's trying to get Alaska back.
How? You're gonna invade it? You're gonna invade a sovereign?
He said that whenever they sold it, the Soviet Union sold Alaska to America. It was a void or false deal. They got the.
That's back in the 50s.
That won't get bananas on TikTok. He said, well, in Russian, he said some curse words. He said we got effed the deal.
I mean, I don't disagree. We don't after a lot of people to become this nation we are, but I mean, it's been 60, 70 years. Alaska's been a state since the 50s. Not to quote Charleston Heston, but come and take it from our cold dead hands. He's not getting Alaska back.
Yeah, no, he's not going to get it because then...
That's a war. Yeah, that's a war.
Yeah, that'll be bad, but he's trying. He's trying to get all the ones that were the areas that were part of the Soviet Union. He wants them back.
So let me ask you this question then, since you're talking about the potential of wanting Alaska back. If we had to deal with that, who do you think would be the best commander-in-chief to prevent Russia from reacquiring Alaska from the 50s between Trump or Biden? Who do you think would be the best person to have in charge of this country if Russia suddenly started saying they want Alaska back?
That is where that would be hard because I wouldn't pick neither one of them.
But if you had to, if that was your choice, that was the only choice you had between those two people.
With the less chance of war, Biden. Trump, he'll end us up in a war, or he'll end up surrendering. One of the two.
You see Trump as surrendering to a nation?
He
Wow.
will surrender to Putin. Yes, he will. Due to him idolizing it, and he wants to be like Putin, he will back down to him.
Wow. I have yet to see Trump back down to any. Well, he backed down to the NRA after the Mandalay Bay shooting. So that's the first time I've ever seen Trump back down, but I haven't seen him back down much. Back down to Putin, huh?
He will. That's the reason why he respected Kim Jong-un too.
You think wait a minute. You think he's afraid of Kim Jong-un?
Likes dictators.
I mean, I don't disagree. And by the way,
Dictators.
yeah, when you mention idolization, here's another YouTube comment. There's a difference between idolizing and having mutual respect. The person can be a bad person, but we have to have an understanding with one another. Biden isn't scary to any other country. So what he's saying is that, you know, he's not idolizing Putin, but he's trying to create a healthy respect as opposed to suggesting that Biden is someone that nobody fears. I don't agree with the end of that, but what say you?
I'm not scared of neither one of them. I can guarantee it. If I went back and I was a leader, I wouldn't be scared of neither one of them.
All right, so you've seen a lot. Okay, I do got to move it on, but I do want to run one more question by you. Somebody, YouTube is really, and thank you for the super chat, by the way, says, the Russian girl is confused. Obviously, that doesn't mean me, that's you. Russian girl is confused and biased. Ukraine bombed its own citizens in Donbass for 10 years and has literal AOV Nazi third battalion facts. I don't know what that part means, but talking about Nazis and things like that, but suggesting that the Ukrainians were bombing their own citizens. Now, real quick, Zelensky, the guy before him, was a totally different type of leader, if I'm correct, right? Compared to Zelensky.
That's correct. My husband can talk more about that, the Ukrainian side.
Yeah.
Because, or I can even call my father-in-law because he's still over there. So
Is he safe? Is it safe to be over there in the war zone like that?
he is safe.
Okay.
He is okay. We have constant communication with him. I'm not confused and I'm not biased. But the thing is that happened, and I'm not by any means. That's everywhere. Then if you're gonna say that, just about Ukraine, you gotta say that about Russia. You gotta say that about China, because China does it too. Because I've seen that firsthand. Japan does it. Israel is currently doing it as we speak, and you can't show favoritism just because it's a religious affiliated country.
Wow. Yeah.
So Africa does it.
I wouldn't be surprised if some of that happens here. We have a history of doing some of that stuff too. Right? So I mean, I agree with you.
So, I'm not biased by any means necessary. I'm just getting out the truth. The truth is, I'm not, like I said before, I'm neither Republican or Democrat. I don't follow neither one of them.
Are you going to vote in November?
Who I'm going to vote for?
Are you going to vote?
Yes, I'm going to vote, but it's not going to be for Trump or Biden.
Then your vote ain't going to count, Herniak. I mean, it really ain't going to mean nothing.
At least I'm voting and I'm trying.
Okay. All right. Last question. In regards to the Ukrainian-Russian melee there, do you think Russia's trying to acquire the whole damn country, or what are their goals?
They want to take as many territories as they possibly can.
So as much as they can get. All right.
Yep.
Go ahead, give you the last word.
They even want to they're even talking to Czechoslovakia.
So they're talking about you're already talking about going above and beyond the Ukraine.
Yep.
Wow.
Yes, they are.
Wow. So, all right. Appreciate you coming on. Listen, anytime. You certainly are a very interesting caller. I would certainly enjoy talking to you much more, but I got other folks holding on. But yeah, come on back through anytime. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, appreciate it. And I enjoyed that Russian, by the way. Wow. Okay, look it in the comments. She doesn't know what she's talking about, says Big Murph. I can't speak on that because I don't know if what the woman is saying is valid or not, but I do believe that she has more experience in the region than certainly myself, probably you too. So I don't know if you're in a position to say she doesn't know what she's talking about. I can't speak on it. And I believe her a little bit too. Yeah, I see some folks in the comments saying I believe her, and I think she does. I tend to be on that side as well. The Czech Republic is part of the old Soviet Union going back, says William. Fair enough, but that doesn't give them the right. These are sovereign nations. They don't want to be part of the Soviet Union no more. You can't force people, which is what they're trying to do. You can't force people to be part of the old Soviet Union or restart up the Warsaw Pact. The folks have the right to make their own decisions. These are sovereign nations. You can't say, I want things to go back to the way they were in, post-World War II. Do you want Mexico to take back Texas? I mean, if we're going to go that route where everybody gets to claim old shit back, half of us can go right back to England then, send my ass back to Africa. No, it doesn't work like that. You can't just recreate the Soviet Union by force. You can't do that. Looking in the comments, Biden will invoke executive order after State of Union. Probably border related, if what you're saying is true. I think probably 75 to 80%, and I'm just completely speculating here, but I would say about 75 to 80% of the country would be behind Biden if he invoked some kind of executive order in regards to the border. So if he's going to invoke some type of executive order, it needs to be border related, because that is his biggest thorn in his side right now. By far, that is the biggest issue concerning Biden's reelection chances, is what's going on at the border. He needs to implement some executive. He's not going to get any assistance from the right. Folks on the right has made it clear that despite what's going on at the border, Trump wants the border open because it helps his reelection chances, period. I don't care how many millions of folks come in this country through the open border. In fact, that is preferable. More deaths by illegal immigrants is preferable because it helps Trump's election chances. I don't care what Biden offers to the Republican Party. They're not going to sign it. They came out and stated Trump wants the border open, and if we work with Biden to close the border, our careers are in jeopardy. So it's only going to be done by executive order. Some folks stated, well, he could have done something years ago, or he has the power to do something. That is the only option he has. Either you do it by executive order, or it doesn't get done, because the right is not going to cooperate with you. We're waiting for Trump. We'll take whatever damage happens and we'll leave it up to Trump to fix it. Looking in the comments, LCVB says, what a doofus, with a bunch of smiley faces. Listen, folks, if you don't like what you see, elaborate. Tell me what I'm getting wrong or scroll on. But a simple comment with no type of data that I can work with, maybe you know more than I do. A hell of a lot of people do, and I'm willing to entertain that. Like I said, I don't block, ban, or censor anyone. But just throwing out a troll-like comment kind of maybe makes the doofus looks like it's on the other side of the screen. But you're welcome to do so anyway. It still doesn't work that way. Why didn't Trump use executive orders when he was there? He tried. Unlike Biden. Wow, world champ, thank you for the fireworks. Thank you. Trump tried to use, remember the Muslim ban, remain in Mexico. Trump was fighting hard to secure the border, to the point where a lot of us on the left didn't agree with it. He lost the Muslim ban because it went to the Supreme Court. But there's no denying Trump was doing more to fight what was going on at the border than Obama. I mean, than Biden. Up to and including talking about putting moats with dangerous animals. He talked about if you're caught entering the country illegally, you should do 5 years of prison, max or minimum. He was really gung-ho about securing the border. So there's a big difference between what Biden did at the border and what Trump did. Trump was willing to go above and beyond the Constitution and do things that were illegal to secure the border. But there's no denying he was going to do more on the border than Biden. Looking in the comments, Derek Cooper. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program, Derek. I think that executive orders are illegal and Joe Biden is overstepping his authority. I am a Republican, but an American first, and I believe, yes, Texas does have a 10th Amendment. Well, if you want the border secure and Biden is doing things that are illegal, who's going to put up a fight? You wanted the border secure. Now that he's doing it, you're going to challenge him on this illegal now? I mean, do you want it secure or do you not? Derek, good afternoon.
Hey, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. Do you have your mind made up come November?
Oh, yeah.
Who you leaning toward?
Biden, 2024.
How confident do you feel that he's actually going to win?
Oh, he's got it. It's in the bag. He's
Wow.
got it. During the primary, Trump didn't even crack 7 million. If you look at it, see, they're sending all these scare tactics. Mega and the media is sending all these scare tactics like Trump is, you know what I'm saying? Trump is in trouble, man. Trump is in trouble. Mega know it. That's why they come with all these scare tactics, doing what they saying, what they say, you know. So it's in the bag, man. Biden has done a good job. Hell, I'm working. Everybody working. The people that's not working are the people that don't want to work.
Wow.
The unemployment rate is down 3.4? Come on, man. The unemployment rate is 3.4, 3.7, give or take.
Let me ask you another question about in regard. I mean, we know Biden will be 82 if he wins, meaning he'll be in office between the ages of 82 and 86. Do you feel confident he will be within his faculties and able to get the job done for the next 4 years, leaving office at the age of 86?
Yes. And even if he don't, he have a vice president who's well qualified to take over. She got people backing her. That's neither here nor there. We don't care about his age. We don't care anything about that. Okay. He's gonna win. Mega know he's going to win. They know he's doing a good job. See, they want Trump, and I'm not trying to overtalk you.
No, you're good. You're good.
They want Trump in office because it makes them comfortable to be racist.
Whoa.
Everybody, they know it.
So you're saying Trump makes it comfortable, makes our environment, our country comfortable for racists. You got to explain that. Elaborate on that. What do you mean?
It makes mega comfortable to be racist. Hate crime went up when he was in office, and they know it.
Yeah, the feds did say that. The federal government did say that.
It. I know it, and I live down here in Georgia, and I hope they nail his butt. I hope they nail it.
I don't know. Your girl down there, Fannie Willis, she might get nailed herself. She ain't doing good.
They did. Who she lay up with or whoever she messed with? That's Clarence Thomas did it.
Yeah.
That's all the things Clarence Thomas did.
Yeah. Well, here's something. I want to run this back because this is on the new buzzword that people like throwing around on Republicans when they are losing. Just throwing a race card out there. That's what my viewer is saying. So he suggested that Trump is a strong candidate and Biden's in trouble. So you're just throwing around the race card willy-nilly just to demonize Trump. I don't know what you did there, Derek, but you got an echo.
No.
Go ahead.
Yeah, my phone was ringing. I'm sorry.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna have to drop you because I'm hearing my own self coming back.
Okay.
I wanted to hear more from that, but he was having issues with the phone. Susie Q with the purple cranes, looking beautiful. Thank you very much. And real quick, I will say this. Some folks do use the racism word. Susie Q, thank you. Those cranes are beautiful. I will say this. He's the viewer on YouTube is right. Some folks do yell racism at every damn thing. Certainly in some of these traffic stops, the minute a cop tries to do his job, somebody's yelling racism. However, that's not unique to liberals or the Democratic Party. I say it all the time. If you are a right-winger, Republican, or conservative, and you're arguing or debating with a liberal, somebody eventually is going to call you a racist because that's what the liberals used to demonize the right. However, it works in reverse. If you are a liberal and you're debating with a conservative, Republican, or MAGA, somebody is going to call you a socialist, just like the racism word. The right uses socialism to demonize everybody. Everybody is a socialist on the left. So I just want to say that if you don't like demonization, don't engage in it. Susie Q, thank you for the galaxy. That is beautiful. Thank you. So don't engage in this type of activity if you're going to be offended when it is bestowed upon you. And we know on the right, every Democrat that runs is a damn socialist. That comes up all the time. So all you guys calling us racist, you're throwing around a racist. Don't do it if you don't want to experience it. Looking in the comments, socialism and racism are not equivalent. What are you? What the hell are you? A female victim of domestic violence? I can hit a man, but a man hits back harder, so he can't. Listen, don't hit if you don't want to get hit back. But your hits are harder than mine. Racism is worse than socialism. Don't demonize if you don't want to be demonized. That's the solution. Just like I mentioned, keep your damn hands to yourself. Now what you're basically saying is, well, racism is a worse word to use on me than so. Well, no, just don't do it. That's the solution. Just don't engage in it, and then you come across as an innocent victim. But when you're throwing punches or slaps and somebody kicks you in the face, well, the kick is harder than the slap, so just don't do it. How about that? Just don't do it. Looking in the comments, it's wrong to say one is worse than the other. And that's my point exactly. And by the way, there's no guarantee that calling somebody a racist is worse than a socialist. If you're talking to Cuban voters of Cuban descent, voters that came from Venezuela, to them, a socialist is worse than a racist, which is why a lot of them vote Republican, because they believe Democrats are socialists. So no, it ain't one ain't worse than the other. Depends on what your damn heritage is. Socialists actually might be worse to some people because they escaped Fidel Castro in Cuba or something like that, and they don't want to ever deal with it again. So socialism is very powerful as well. Bernie Sanders ruined the Democratic Party with that shit. Before Bernie Sanders, they weren't yelling socialism so much. But once Bernie Sanders came on the scene, he ruined it with that. Because he was by far the first person to actually come out and admit, yeah, I'm a socialist, so what? Well, shit, all of these actual Democrats don't want to be called that. Looking in the box. Thank you, William. Thank you for the knight in shining armor. Excuse me, they're going back to the box. We'll go straight to, I don't know what happened there, but real quick in the box, we'll go to Rick. Good afternoon, Rick. Welcome to the program. Socialist in Cuba is different from here. Yeah, but the folks of Cuban descent don't know that. They just hear the word socialism and run. They don't know that. They're not trying to do all of that. Listen, the Republicans don't have any socialists, so let's just go there. We don't want to be trying to, ascertain what kind of socialism they're talking about. They just go to the other side. Don't demonize if you don't want to be demonized. Rick, looks like the box is kind of having a few issues, so we'll keep it moving. Socialism has many faces. Racism has one hatred. I hear you. I hear you. But as I stated over and over again, do not engage in demonization. Marcus Daniels with the subscription. Appreciate that. Mr. Marcus used to enjoy your movies. Some of you folks know who Mr. Marcus is, but thank you, Marcus Daniels. I appreciate it. I'm just joking. But real quick, we'll move the program on because the box is acting goofy again. Don't demonize if you don't like having it done to you. If you don't like people calling you a racist, don't call people socialists. That's all I'm saying. All of this crap about, well, my insult ain't as worse as yours. How about you just don't do it? Just make it that freaking simple. Real quick, going back to the comments. By the way, tap the screen. I haven't been soliciting that. Certainly on TikTok, get your boy up to around 65,000. It's over 900 plus of you in here. Same thing on YouTube. If you enjoy civilized dialogue, understand this is an uncensored program. So we go left of Bernie Sanders all the way to I'm having dinner with QAnon. We take all calls. You don't have to agree with the host. Nobody gives a damn. If your point is your point, you're going to get the stated here. Now, Joseph Kuhn, friend of the program, says Democrats use blacks to justify socialism, which is just tyranny with lipstick. Where are all the systemically opposed blacks in America? Democrat-run cities. There's a lot there. Here's the issue I have, because you often hear folks say the Democrats are just exploiting African Americans and mistreating them. Which would lead to the obvious question: if black people are being treated so damn bad by the Democratic Party, why is it so hard for a Republican to win in cities that are overwhelmingly black? I mean, is the notion that black people are just dumber than whites? They fall for the media, they fall for propaganda that whites are smart enough to navigate around. I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense. Other than if that ain't the case, then it means that the Republican Party is coming across like poison to black people. If you don't want to look at it that way, then you have to make up an excuse and say, well, it's the media, it's propaganda, it's what their parents are telling them. They're not smart enough compared to whites to make their own decision. Every city that is overwhelmingly black has Democrats in office, has a Democratic administration. That is something the Republicans need to figure out. You can't blame all this shit on the media. There's something you must be doing wrong that is not attracting this group of people. Everywhere from Houston to Baltimore, you name it. Out of the top 50 cities, I think like 9 of them are Republican run. All the rest of them. I don't care how much violence there is in Chicago. They won't elect a Republican mayor. Why is that? They're just dumb? Why is that? The Republicans need to figure out, what are we doing to run, scare, whatever the case may be, away minorities? That is something you cannot continue blaming on the media, propaganda, or some other entity. It's coming from your party. Figure it out. Figure it out. It's too many places like this. So if you think the Democratic Party is exploiting or mistreating African Americans, then step in and do what they're not doing. But I've said it before, if you put 10,000 blacks in a room, town hall style, and ask them what issues concern them most, talking about African Americans, so we're not talking about just the economy. The economy concerns every damn body. If you put 10,000 African Americans in a room and ask them what concerns them most, the Republicans are on the other side of those issues. That is the problem. They're on the other side of those issues. Whether it's claims of systemic racism, claims about the police. I mean, we can talk about reparations. There's a few blacks that believe in that. You name it. They're on the other side of all these issues. That is what's causing the problem. It's not the media. It's not propaganda. They want something that you think is ridiculous or they don't deserve or it's outdated or whatever the case may be. You're on the other side. And you're not going to cause that to go away by yelling media. It's not the media. It's not the media. It's the actual policies of the left versus the right. Looking in the comments, Coon, read about Plato's allegory of the cave before you claim it can't be just the media. Plato understood it took over 2,000 years ago. Well, whoa, Heather, whoa, I ain't seen a well in a minute. Was that a well? Whoa, okay, you did interrupt me. You definitely caught me with that. Holy shit, thank you. Coon, in regards to allegory of the cave, wow, thank you for that well. In regards to the allegory of the cave and saying it can't just be the media, we're in an era now where there's a lot of right-wing media. There's a lot of money in the conservative party. If the liberal media is making blacks vote liberal, then damn it, do something in your own media. Use your media to counteract that. You're on the same playing field. You can put out movies. You know, get your own hip hop artists, whatever you think the black community is falling for. There's enough money on the right side of the aisle to counter that. Get your own movies. Whatever we're doing, whatever we're falling for, if you believe that. I don't personally believe that. As I stated, I believe it's a case of the issues concerning the African American community you're on the other side of. Now, I'll give it to you this way before I go back to the box. It doesn't matter if you take a group of African Americans that are all homeless, that are all wealthy, that are all high school dropouts, or that are all rocket scientists. Every one of those groups believe that systemic racism is likely real. They all tend to be more overwhelmingly liberal than Republican. You need to figure out why that is. You need to. Doesn't matter what block you go to. Let's go for the wealthy ones as opposed to the poor. Let's go for the educated as opposed to the uneducated. They all have that mindset. The Republican Party just needs to figure it out. Quit blaming the media. Go out and talk to the folks. It can be done. Blacks grew up. They actually grew up with a lot of conservative values. Certainly grew up in the church, evangelicals. We don't all commit crime. A lot of us respect the police. I don't have any arrests in my history. A lot of us respect the police, grew up in the church. The African American community is not very LGBT friendly, so you'll be okay there. Just talk to them. And by the way, don't show up with a damn Confederate flag talking about pride and heritage. That don't work. Talk to the people. Quit blaming the media. Quit playing the media card and go talk to the people. It ain't impossible to do it. But when you try to make up excuses, people can see right through that. Look it in the comments. 99% of America are social liberals and financial conservatives. I would have to really look into that. The right versus left paradigm is just the smoke and mirrors to smoke and mirrors to condition people to rely on government instead of each other. The right doesn't have it correct either. We need villages, all of us. You guys are wild today. All right, let me go back to the bot. Wow. Hey, wow. I don't even know what to say. Wow. Catching me off guard. Damn, thank you. 2 wells. In regards to folks, no, it's actually the issues. It really is, particularly with the African American community. Their issues, they've always been told the things you are concerned with are not a big deal. Some of them are not even realistic. Certainly when it comes to systemic racism, most of America's history, blacks were told, I don't know what you're complaining about. This ain't real. It's not a major issue. That is why they are going to go with the party that says, yes, what you're complaining about is actually real. Even if that party is exploiting them, at least they are listening and saying it that way. Now, in regards to your comment, Kuhn, and thank you for your super chat, your generosity, man. Thank you. In regards to saying that we've been conditioned to rely on the government, listen, as an African American, I have 2 major accomplishments in my past from big government that I can't overlook. That is the freeing of slaves by Republican Abraham Lincoln, and of course, John F. Kennedy working with Lyndon B. Johnson for the Civil Rights Act. That's big government. Take big government out the picture. You think states' rights? You think the states were going to free the slaves anytime soon? You think the states were going to be okay with giving black civil rights? All the resistance. So when you say conditioned to rely on big government, when you say that to a minority, you got to understand our history is that we would not be the people we are without big government. Small government was never going to entertain freeing us. No time soon. So it's hard to turn a blind eye to big government and promote states' rights when the history of states' rights, particularly with minorities, is so damn brutal. Like, you really want to go back to that? You know, I can imagine my grandmom, who escaped Hattiesburg, Mississippi in the 1940s to move to Chicago because they were getting treated so bad down there. I can imagine her in her grave looking at me like, you really want to go back to states' rights? Do you realize your own history, boy? I can imagine her telling me that. You really want to go back to that? After all we did to get away from that. So it's hard. But I do understand folks on the right favor small government. And it can make sense if you haven't had that type of history in your own ancestry. But in my ancestry, small government has been horrendous. I don't see the benefit of going backwards to that. Going back to the box, though, we'll make it happen. Thank you for those wells. Wow, thank you. Drew, good afternoon. Make it happen. Thank you for those wells. Wow, thank you. You got a lot of can you hear me? Drew? Okay, he came up in the box, but I heard more of myself than him, so I'll move it on. I don't know what happened there. If the GOP stopped drawing racist voting maps, that might help their case. Yikes. That is gerrymandering. I do believe the left does that as well, though. I do. It's not done on the basis of racism, though, but the left does play games with, who you can vote and where. But yeah, when you're doing it based on racism, that doesn't hurt. That doesn't help. Keep up the good work, young man. Thank you, Abracadabra on YouTube. Tim, the government was a help of a lot. The government was a hell of a lot smaller back then. It's huge now. Yes, Craig, that is true. But the term states' rights still has its roots in history with minorities. It was bad. I agree the government has gotten bigger, but states' rights was bad. That just doesn't sound like a very good option for a minority. But you are correct. Going back to the box, no clue why it's working so poorly today, but I'm going to try to make it work again. We'll go to D. Headings. Good afternoon, D. Are you there?
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, good. Finally it worked. So, do you have your mind made up for November?
Oh, yes, sir, I do.
Where you looking? Trump? Biden?
You already know me, man. It's going to upset a lot of people, but I'm going for Trump, man.
Okay, nothing wrong with that.
And it's for a reason, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people get upset when they hear the name Trump, Like, you got to break it down. You got to understand that there's a lot of understanding between Trump and Biden. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Why do you think so many people, as you stated, so many people get upset when they hear the name Trump? Why do you think that is?
Oh, man, I can tell you what. I'm a young black man from Georgia. You hear me?
Okay.
And the thing is, when I say Trump, a lot of people automatically, like the guy earlier, they think racism. The media portrays that. But you got to understand what the man did for the country while the man was behind all the scenes. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm in college. I'm studying a lot of things. I understand a lot of things. I can understand why African Americans can get upset when they hear the name Trump.
Well, let me interrupt to say this. Now, you talked about racism and the fact that Trump did a lot of things for this country, which a lot of folks do agree. Folks who favor Trump do believe he's done a lot for the country. But the counterpoint I was going to make with you go out to Mount Rushmore. I've been there. You got the four guys on the side of the mountain. You can be a racist and do a lot of things for this country simultaneously. I mean, we know the founding fathers did not want you or I to even have this conversation. So, doing a lot for this country does not exclude you from being a racist, right?
Yeah, I understand that. But what did he? Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What did he do to betray that he was a racist man?
Wow. Now Trump has made a lot of statements that folks who support him really interpret it different ways. Maybe they're right. Maybe folks who see racism in him is wrong. But I'll just give you a few of his greatest hits. A total and complete ban of all Muslims entering the country. That doesn't sound very pro-Muslim. That sounds like you don't like Muslims. He had a case in regards to, I believe it was Trump University. He was being sued and stated that the judge could not oversee the case because he was a Mexican. Right. So you can't adjudicate this case because you're Mexican. Nothing to do with your skills or qualifications. You are a Mexican, therefore you don't qualify to be my judge. Obviously, that's understandable. That's understandable, but you got to think of the business side of it, like the capabilities of running the country, the understanding of running the country, how the country is supposed to be ran. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I do, and that's what I told you. I said you can. The man right now that's running the country, we could go to his greatest hits and say, if you don't vote for me, you're not black. That's kind of uneducated to say that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Well, but what about the notion that? What about the notion that because you're, hang on a second, what about the notion that because you're black, you should vote for me because I'm selling tennis shoes?
That's, man, regardless, we're all Americans, like you said.
Yeah, but what about that statement though? You mentioned how ignorant vote for me and you ain't black is. What do you think about that statement though?
It's like I said, it's
Is it ignorant?
Yeah, it's very ignorant.
Okay. All right. Just check it. All right, keep going.
But as I see it, I'm not here to make nobody feel no type of way or make nobody want to go for Mr. Donald Trump. You know what I'm saying? Because he has his wrongs. As a Republican, I'm gonna tell you, I don't think it's right for some of the things that he did. But I think his business mindset, we're going to keep it legit here. I think his business mindset was on top, and that's just smart. You know what I'm saying? That's just common sense. If you feel the same way or the neighbor feels the same way, I don't judge nobody of what their political views are. I just want people to understand the point of view of how he was running the country.
Yeah. I mean, I get your point, but the reason why I asked you earlier in our conversation, and by the way, Kuhn, you said Muslim is a people who follow Islam, which is a religion, not a race. That is true, but you know, racism, protected class. I mean, you could be anti-woman. You're showing intolerance to a protected class, but you're right. Being Muslim is a religion, it's not a race. Good correction. So what I was saying to you
in the comment, black Republican, bro, you are lost. That's crazy, man.
Well, I tell you where that's coming from. A lot of folks, you know, particularly on the left side of the aisle, believe that a black person voting Republican is voting against their own best interest. A lot of folks believe that.
Yeah, man. It's really either way it goes this year, man. I hope for the best for us. You know, I hope that we really could see as a country and come together, regardless, black or white, man. And
do you see any? Let's go with Trump because you said Trump certainly is a better choice than Biden. Do you see Trump as the president? You said we need to come together. Do you see Trump trying to bring us all together and unite this country?
Yes, man.
Give me some examples.
Well, man, to be honest, when he gets back in office, I know there's a lot of.
I'm talking about wait. I'm not talking when he gets back in office. I said, do you see Trump is trying to bring people together? He's all over television. He's holding rallies. What is he doing, in your opinion, to try to bring us together?
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
My thing is lagging out.
All right, I'm moving on. All right, fair enough. I don't know what happened there, but we'll move it on. Trump can't be bought. Ain't nobody in his pocket, says John Lindsay. I want to agree with you with the exception of the NRA after the Mandalay Bay shooting. When Trump was on television saying sometimes, yeah, DJ Julio with the hat and mustache. Always a pleasure. Thank you. When Trump, after the Mandalay Bay shoot, many of you folks are probably aware back in 2017, a guy went to the Mandalay Bay Casino in Las Vegas and actually took out the window panes of his hotel room. Because in Vegas, they don't give you balconies. They know you lose all your money at the damn casino. You might jump out to your own death because you lost all the mortgage. Had a blackjack dealer tell me that. But anyway, took out the windows and actually had a cache of AR-15s, unlimited magazines, I believe, and bump stocks. Fired across the street into a crowd of concert goers, killing, I think, 59, wounding about 500. Trump came on television right after that event and stated, well, first of all, he was against bump stocks, which are what allows the damn gun based on the ricochet to fire off like an automatic. Pat Carlson, thank you for the subscription. You guys are on point today. Thank you, Pat Carlson, for that subscription. Thank you. Thank you very much. So he banned bump stocks, but he also stated that sometimes you gotta fight with the NRA. He was admitting that the NRA has overstepped its boundaries, and sometimes you got to push back because they want to give too many people guns. He even said that sometimes because when a person is mentally ill, it can take too long to take away a gun by taking them to court. His words were, sometimes you got to take away the gun first and then give them due process. Incredibly unpopular and certainly unconstitutional. But that came from Trump. Didn't get a lot of pushback from his supporters, which, you know, if Obama or Biden had said some really wild shit like that, would have been much stronger. But he did say sometimes you got to take away the gun first, then give them due process. That is wildly unconstitutional. The next day, he changed his mind completely. Everybody believes the NRA got to him. Everyone believes the NRA got to him. And you realize most of your support is coming from my group. Perhaps you need to rethink your language, boy. And the next day, he had totally went against that. Almost sounded like Lindsey Graham on January 7th, or Mitch McConnell, or a host, or Kevin McCarthy, all of them on January 7th. That's how Trump sounded the next day. He had realized the error of his ways. So the NRA is probably the only example I can think of where somebody got to Trump and made him think differently. I believe E. Jean Carroll is probably working on being the second person, because I'm sure he got a hell of a lot of choice words for E. Jean Carroll, and he's not saying any of that shit because he doesn't want to be dealing with a third defamation case. Look at in the comments real quick. Shall not be infringed. Well, he tried. FSU. Good afternoon. Have you made up your mind? I'm having a horrible time with the box. Real quick on the comment section. FSU, I don't know if you can hear me or not, but I don't hear anybody. So thank you for the hat and mustache. I'm getting the box straight here. We'll try it again with Uncle James. Box is crazy. I'm voting independently. Then your vote don't count, sir. Artist R. Woods, if you don't vote for Biden or Trump, I need to know your policies, because I'll tell you which person you're actually helping out. Uncle James, good afternoon.
My man Tim, how you feeling today,
I'm doing good. Thank God your mom didn't name you Tom. So have you made up your mind for November already? Thank you, Ginger. Thank you.
I mean, of course, I'm still riding. I'm still riding with Biden.
Okay. You think he good 82 to 86? You think he good for all those years?
I think what's going to happen, and this is my honest opinion, whether you're left or right, agree or disagree, I think Biden is going to be elected. I think that some way at the midpoint between his second term, he's going to make a graceful exit. I think he's smart. I think he's smart enough to realize, because if you look at how he's kind of played his hand going forward with all of this, look, you can't really make the argument that Biden is too old without saying the same thing about Trump. Right?
Well, they're going with they're not calling it global warming anymore. They're calling it climate change. With Trump, they're not saying his age. They're saying his cognitive, because they know Trump is in that age range. So they're saying it's cognitive. It ain't age.
Sure. But both of them. I mean, you could point out examples on both sides. It's just like, look, man, if you listen to what this guy is saying, it's like sometimes you wonder if he knows the difference between a pineapple and an apple. And that goes to both Biden and Trump. And there's no disagreement on that, left or right. But
okay.
what I do find interesting is simply this, because here's the one thing that I think that we often forget with age, right?
Okay.
Is that if you've been working on your job, right, the job that you do, and you've been on your job for 10 years, and then suddenly someone comes along and says, well, we should replace Tim because Tim's been here for 10 years. But Tim knows the ins and outs of that job better than someone who's just coming in to that job. So experience does play a factor in how the job is done. And again, I'm not saying that we should not have term limits. I mean, the Republicans themselves back in the 80s introduced a plan to do this, and then reneged on that very plan themselves. So again, I'm not saying that Biden should be there forever. I think his strategy is like, look, I'm going to do what we can do for the American people.
So let me ask you this. Now, this is on YouTube from Bearded Alvin says, Trump got more sense in cognitive thoughts than Biden. Do you see any cognitive decline in Biden?
No, because every time that we see...
None? You don't see any?
I don't see any.
Wow.
I don't see any cognitive. Let me put it to you this way: I don't see any cognitive decline that would prevent him from doing the job of president, either today or in a few years from now.
Yeah, but Uncle James, here's the problem. If you see some cognitive decline in Biden or Trump, but you say, I don't see it'll stop him from doing the job, we know cognitive decline works on a graph. As you get older, it gets worse. He's 82.
It absolutely does get worse. But here again is the thing that I'm speaking of. Again, if you've been doing your job for the last 10, let's say 20 years, right? There's stuff that you've been doing that is no longer just about the skill set. It has become, I don't want to say habit forming, but it's second nature, right? The second nature takes over. And so when you have two men who, let's just agree, right? Let's just agree for argument's sake. We have two men who are both in cognitive decline. One who has done the job, all right, and done it successfully, and I'm talking about years of experience in public service, and one who has not. And again, I'm listening to the comments from both Biden and Trump, and a lot of things that they're both proposing, and Biden's proposals sound, at least on the surface, reasonable and serves the American people. Serves the American people, left or right, versus Trump, who says, "I'm just going to support the people who support me."
Yeah,
that's not very American. Because look, if I don't support you, like if you and I disagree on Trump and Biden, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we can still respect one another to say, look, man, I respect your choices. I respect your opinions, which you do all the time for all of your listeners. But at the end of the day, we simply agree to disagree. But I'm not going to tell people to hate you or to hate.
Do you believe Trump? Do you believe Trump is actually telling his supporters to hate folks that have a dissenting opinion?
If you listen to what he's planning to do, with the 15 things that he plans to do once he's getting in office, one of them is to sue all of those people who've spoken out against him, all of his political enemies. This came out of his mouth. I'm not making this up. This is not hyperbole. I'm only going by what the man himself has said.
So you do believe Trump will be on the revenge tour if he gets reelected?
Absolutely. I don't think he's never made that something that he's hidden. And again, when people tell you who they are, you should believe them, man. You should absolutely believe them.
Maya Angelou.
So yes.
Maya Angelou.
And again, and I'm not saying that Biden's plan is 100% foolproof. I'm not saying that there's some things that Biden could not do better, or some people within his own administration that should be thinking better. But I think in terms of what makes sense for everyone, and I'm thinking, and this is the way that I look at it. I look at what is going to make sense for not only me in LA, but for the farmer in Idaho, for the people in Cleveland and in Chicago, all across the country, no matter where you are, what's going to make sense to help us move forward to a better day. And that plan is Biden's plan, because he's saying, I'm trying to do what is best for the American people. He's not saying if you don't vote for me, you're my enemy.
Whoa! You almost said if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. So keep going.
I'm not out here selling tennis shoes, man. I'm not out here selling tennis shoes, but I think that there's some cognitive dissonance there.
Yeah.
And you got to understand that at the end of the day, it's not about our feelings, right? It's not about how I feel. It's not about how you feel. It's about what actually makes sense.
If it wasn't about our feelings, I think Trump would be on the second term. And real quick, Joseph Kuhn, I thought this was kind of funny. He said the only thing Biden has to do, he said a joke. I don't know what no, don't know where it goes. Keep going. I was going to read something I thought was funny, but it disappeared. Go ahead.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing that I think that everyone should take into consideration at the end of the day. At some particular point in time, both of these men are going to be footnotes in history, and the rest of us will still be here, right?
Yeah.
So what are we going to do? What are we, all of us, the American people, what are we going to do to make sure that the kind of world, the kind of America that works for all of us is in place and happening? What sort of accountability are we putting in for all of our politicians, whether they're mayors, governors, presidents, what kind of accountability are we putting in place so that we can hold these people accountable when we feel like they're not doing what's best for the American people? And when I do say the American people, I don't just mean people that look like me and you, Tim. I mean people who are
I get it. Yeah, and listen, my last caller, who was also African American, he was MAGA. He talked about uniting everyone. So you're saying the same thing. You guys are just voting for different candidates, but I do got to move it on, and I agree with that. We do need to come together. I just don't know if either one of these candidates is going to be the guy to do it. We may have to go a few more years divided until we can get somebody else. But James, give you the last word.
Yeah, let me say this last thing on the divisiveness. And the divisiveness started long before Trump. The
True.
divisiveness started the day that Obama got into office, and it was planned. But here is the thing: when we get back to the point, and actually it was Chris Christie who said this, and I agree with him. When we get back to the point where we truly care about America as a nation and not America as a particular group, right? Not just the heartland people, not just these people, because as much as, the people in California care about this country, as much as the people in Nebraska do. So we got to get past that point where we stop playing this partisanship and being seduced by it to get back to where we hold everyone accountable.
All right, James. And we're unfortunately, we're nowhere near that point, but well said. Appreciate you coming through.
Thank you, sir. Have a good rest of your day.
You too. I wanted to point out Joseph Kuhn, the joke. Kuhn, and by the way, thank you, Kuhn. Said Joe Biden is the first example of government efficiency. He can't combine a paragraph sentence into a single word. When he. I know what you're talking about. It's actually funny. I don't like to make fun of an old man that is doing that, because we know Biden has a stutter problem, but it is actually funny how you put that together. That's what you're talking about. The only thing Biden has to do is sign whatever his corporate lobbyists, handlers, put in front of him. Yeah, that sounds like what the late was she Senator Feinstein, where they were actually telling her to sign things in front of her. She ended up dying not long after that, and folks were talking about, this woman is too old to be in office. I mean, people got to tell her what she's signing. That's what you're kind of alluding to Biden. I don't know if he's that far out of it, Kuhn. Compare how much a politician is worth before and after office to see if they served the people or had the people serve them. You're not going to get folks to give up really high earning income gigs in the private sector to go to Congress, Senate, become president or something, and they don't make shit from it because you think that people in politics shouldn't make money. If you do that, people are not going to want to become politicians. Isn't that what folks say? If you try to control how much a corporation can make or how much a CEO can make, you're going to stifle innovation. It'll remove any incentive for people to want to try to invent things if you try to be socialist. Isn't that what the right say all the time? Well, that would apply to politicians as well. You got a very smart, astute attorney that wants to be a congressman or a senator, and he's making millions of dollars as a lawyer in the private sector, and you're telling me you only want to pay him peanuts as a congressperson? You want to give him term limits? You want to give him health care like you and I have? Why the hell would he do it? Why the hell would he even do it? So there's only so much limitation you can impose on politicians before you start limiting the quality of the politicians that are willing to run. Because the really good people that you want to lead this country are probably in positions in the private sector making a fortune. So you want somebody with that type of quality, you're going to have to pay for it. You're really going to have to pay for it. And I'll tell you this, it's not the politicians. So people talk about term limits all the time. It's not the politicians. It's the damn system. Any of us could be a congressman or a senator, and within a short period of time, we will be getting paid. Your intern, your secretary will be telling you about all kinds of money you can make. Lobbyists would be approaching you with all kinds of deals on how you can get paid. The system is designed for you to get paid and make a bunch of money. Even if you get term limits, you're just going to replace the dude that's ripping off the system with somebody else in a few years. Because the system is designed that way to get paid. Some of you folks may have seen the old movie Distinguished Gentleman featuring Eddie Murphy, where he was a con artist and he ran for Congress because he had the same last name as a congressman person that had just passed away. So he figured people are used to voting for this name, so they'll vote for me. He ended up winning and ended up towards the end of the movie saying, I used to commit crimes on the street. I became a politician and all this shit suddenly became legal. It's just too many cons going on. The system itself is what needs to be changed, not the politicians in it. So term limits ain't gonna get you what you want. It's the system itself that prohibits what you're complaining about. Look it in the comments. The system is not designed that way, and that movie is meant for entertainment. All right, Stephen. All right. President Trump went from 3.7 billion to 2.4 billion. What other politician lost wealth serving the people? No other politician, in my opinion, lost wealth serving the people. But Trump didn't lose wealth because he just wanted to hand money over. Trump lost wealth because he became a politician and started acting an asshole, and people started digging into his background and caused him a lot of misery. If Trump had been Bush-like, just, doing his same policies, did exactly what he did for America without all the name calling, insulting, and rhetoric, he wouldn't have lost that money. He would not be dealing with all of this stuff. He took pleasure in pissing off a bunch of people, and that generally comes with a price. It really does. Going back to the box, whether it's right or wrong, by the way, it comes with a price. Just like if you pissed off a cop, there may be things done to you that's wrong, but there probably will be things done to you. You can't just go piss people off like that. Kelly, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Do you have your mind made up for November already?
Absolutely.
Is there anything the other guy could do to possibly sway your opinion? Let's say you're voting for Biden.
No. Absolutely not. I'm voting for Biden.
So there's nothing Trump can do.
No, there is really nothing Trump can do.
Wow. You don't favor...
And there's nothing... And I guess the real point is there's nothing he would do.
Yeah. Well, the border. Do you think the border's out of control?
The border, of course, is out of control, but it's a problem that has gone on for decades.
Do you think what's happening Do you think what's happening at the border is Biden's fault by any means at all? You think Biden has any responsibility at all? What's going on?
I really don't think any president is responsible for it. It's really up to Congress. It's up to them no one can, there's executive orders, sure, and you can pass them, you can sign them, but they're always challenged in court and they're always overturned. It's really up to Congress to get together and make some kind of immigration reform.
But why not try to? You mentioned the executive orders might get challenged in court and things like that. Why not try it first, though? Why not make the attempt? Trump was attempting everything from Muslim bans to building moats in prison sentences. He was trying. I mean, has Biden even made the effort, in your opinion?
They all got overturned, basically, and it just caused more division.
Well, doing nothing and letting in potentially 10 million people, you think that's uniting folks?
No, but in fact, a quite strict border bill was just written up. Things were put in there that really were, if you think of the far left, which I'm not, there were things they agreed to in that bill that is against everything they believe in, every fiber of their being, but they were willing to do it.
I agree with that, but then
everyone agreed on it, and Trump called up the Speaker of the House, and he said, kill this bill. I don't want to fix the problem. I want to campaign on it.
Yeah, that does sound like
a fact. It came out of his own mouth. I heard it come out of his mouth. You know, so
wait. Did he actually say those words? Kill this bill?
Yes, he actually said those words.
Wow. I mean, I believe it. I know he was the reason why I got killed. I just never heard those words come out of his mouth. Some folks in the audience are saying no, and others are saying yes.
Words, but he don't pass this bill. I don't want to fix this. I want to campaign on it.
Yeah. Do you think?
In a nutshell, that's exactly what he said.
Yeah, but I gotta push back with the.
What do you do with that?
Yeah, but I gotta push back with the obvious question. You're talking about Trump destroying a bill that they tried to pass last month. Biden's been in office almost his entire term. Why didn't he try to get a bill passed anytime sooner? Why wait so long?
Actually, they offered up a bill at the very beginning of his term. It didn't go anywhere. You know, and then a war happened. And, you know, people are screaming how, oh, well, if they hadn't attached Ukraine aid to the bill, we would have passed it. But that's not what happened. It was actually a foreign aid bill that the Republican-controlled House insisted they wouldn't vote for unless they put border into it.
Yeah, and I see.
So it was really the other way around.
Yeah, and I will say, Christy on YouTube is saying, "Not true, lady. Have another drink." I have actually heard it the same way she's saying it.
I don't drink. Secondly, I work nights. I have the news on all day long. I watch and I'm not talking. I don't watch CNN. In fact, I don't think I've ever watched CNN short of like the New Year's ball drop because they have the best because they all get a buzz on. I watch every single congressional hearing.
Let me tell
you, that is exactly the same whether you're watching it on Fox, on MSNBC, or C-SPAN.
Yeah, and I see in the comments, Dwight Handsome. I love the name, by the way. Dwight Handsome says she sounds credible to me. What you're saying, Kelly, that is the way. Most of that is what I've heard as well, with the exception of I didn't hear Trump state kill that bill. But I mean, there are a lot of Republicans that have stated that they did receive a call telling them don't work with the Democrats on this. It is clear that Trump does want the border open to run on that as a policy. So
he also wants Americans to continue to die from fentanyl overdoses.
Yeah.
As long as it makes Biden look worse.
I mean, to some degree, you're right. If they're claiming that fentanyl is killing a bunch of Americans, and that's because the border is wide open, and they're refusing to work with Democrats on the border to help Trump get reelected, then yeah, in a roundabout way, they're okay with the fentanyl deaths until Trump gets in.
There was money in this bill for more border guards, for more barrier. There was money in this bill for more asylum judges and immigration judges, which would move things along faster with a yes or a no. So, as it is, people are waiting 5 years, 7 years. If the process is more streamlined, people are less likely to try to come here illegally.
Yeah, but
and there was money for technology that obviously not sniffs out, but for lack of a better word, I'm kind of getting ready for work. I can't think of one right now. To detect fentanyl.
Yeah.
In things, on things.
I don't, you know. Okay, I do got to move it on, but to me, the fentanyl thing, at the end of the day, Americans want to get high. Fact is, nobody's jumping up and claiming that illegal immigrants are pinning them down and putting fentanyl in them. The fentanyl is coming here because there are Americans that want that shit. So even if you get the wall, you get the policies, Americans like to get high. The cartel exists because there is a demand for their goods and services, and their biggest customer is us. I don't know of any type of border.
Customer has always been us.
Yeah.
Whether Colombian cocaine or heroin in China fentanyl from
even child trafficking, all of that stuff. We are the biggest customer, and we were when Trump was in office too. So I don't think any of that is going to stop that, because the demand on this side of the border is too strong for it. But Kelly, I do appreciate you coming in. Certainly have a good day at work. Come on back through anytime.
Love to, and thank you so much. Have a good day.
Absolute. You too. Looking in the comments, somebody said, I love her, says E-Ball. And that's the problem, though. You keep talking about fentanyl and all of this stuff, the cartels. The cartels wouldn't exist if nobody was buying their shit. We are the ones buying all that stuff. I don't care if you're talking fentanyl, you're talking cocaine, crack, heroin, you're talking people who are being human trafficked, all of that. We are their biggest customer. That's why most of them are affiliated at the northern end of Mexico, so they can have easy access to America, where all their damn customers are. So you're not going to build a wall to stop that, because a lot of the customers in America for this stuff have deep enough pockets that they're going to keep buying it and finding a way to get to it. It's just like the war on drugs. It didn't work because too many people want to get high. But it does help to demonize the sellers, to demonize folks who are selling the stuff. And at the end of the day, yeah, they're not going to sell it if you're not buying it. They're not going to be putting their lives at risk and things like that. And they're certainly not going to be making a killing financially if there are not so many American customers. We love what the cartel sells. We love their business. Looking in the comments, SSEZ says just legalize drugs. Wow. I can have a lot to say on that. There is good and bad to that. I do believe that we've seen what happened with prohibition in the 1920s. You've seen what Al Capone was doing to my city, Chicago, in the black market for alcohol. Because as I said, people want to get high. You're not going to pass a law and stop people from getting high. So they legalize alcohol because they realize at the end of the day, people still drinking anyway. They're just murdering each other for the shit. Same thing with marijuana. People, Snoop Dogg and Willie Nelson were getting high without a problem during the whole time that shit was illegal. The only difference is people were going to prison and murdering each other over marijuana. Now that marijuana is legal, probably the murder rate over it is probably dropping. So legalize drugs. I don't like it, but it's hard to deny that if you legalize drugs, you would eradicate the black market. I mean, you'd make the government essentially become drug dealers, but the government would tax it. The government would make sure that, if you bought weed, you got weed. It wasn't laced with, it wasn't a wet stick or whatever they call it, where they put fentanyl or some other drug in it to get you addicted. The government would control what you're getting. Right now, you go buy from a street dealer, you don't know what's in that. Just like for folks buying crack, only 10% of that is actual cocaine. The rest of that shit is baking soda, fuel, like ethanol. I mean, you don't know what's in it. The government would make sure that that was the right shit you were ingesting. So there may be some benefits to it. I'm not going to flat out say I would be a fan of legalizing drugs, but I can't deny that the black market we have, which is leading to a bunch of murders and incarceration, is a good solution. Want to talk about how multiple Democrat governors murdered seniors with COVID for a month to pump the numbers up. Wow, Joseph, I'd have to see some murdered seniors with. I don't know what to say on that. You got to show a hell of a lot of evidence to make a strong statement like that. Wow. Going back to the box. And I see somebody, Shabash said, that's insane. Yeah, I don't know where to go with that. That enters the conspiratorial realm. Clinton, Walston. Wow, I don't drink or do drugs. I hate it all. Yeah, same. You're talking to someone who has never had a beer in my life, not even a wine cooler. No alcohol beverages ever entered his body. No cigarettes, no marijuana, you name it. Clinton, you got a really loud background. Clinton, are you there?
Yeah, I'm at work. I was just going to say, yes.
Okay. Yeah, your background's kind of loud, though.
Yeah, it's called work.
Okay, go ahead and state your point real quick, then. I'll give you a moment.
Say, African American, Asian American, all that. Why not just get away with all that stuff and just say American? That's what's wrong.
I really want to. I really want to talk to you, but your background is so loud. It's like you're working right next to a steam train or something. I really can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, a little bit better.
Yeah, I said, the problem is that people want to be labeled as an African American or a Asian American or a whatever. If we get away with that and just say American, a lot of this stuff will go away.
That's not the American way. We've always labeled people in this country. I mean, I don't know if you can undo, 250 years of history or more.
Well, I get that, but here, that's like me. I'm Cherokee. My people were forced out to Oklahoma. Thousands died. And the government did that. Even though I'm, Cherokee descent, American Indian, I don't, I'm Caucasian. So,
I hear your.
I'm not asking nothing.
Yeah, I hear your point. And I will say, not labeling people would have been a great argument to make during the founding fathers' time, but I don't know if you can undo that now. I mean, it's too deeply rooted in history in this country. All right, Clinton, I'm going to have to move it on. Yeah, I'm going to have to move it on, because your background is just really loud.
Over 270-something years ago.
Okay, all right, I got to move it on, though, man, because I can barely hear you. I don't know what you... Yeah, I don't know what you got going on over there, but it sounds like you're working in a metal shop or something. So now I really don't know what's going on. Hang on a second. Can you hear me? Okay, I think the lagging or something. Term limits and age limits should be mandatory. You're not going to get it because the people who you try to impose term limits on are the folks you need when you're in office. Looks like the connection is what's having problems. Look up the executive orders forcing seniors into assisted living facilities. It's no theory. I think you're talking about Governor Cuomo. I think I do know what you're talking about. When it comes to COVID, and I know what you're talking about, what ended up happening is they thought they were doing what was right by people under the pandemic, and it turned out to be wrong. But your point is well taken, and based on that, I don't know, do you go back and prosecute people who were acting during the time they were fearful of a novel virus? It's kind of like, George W. Bush during the Iraq War. Do you want to go back and, he thought he was avenging what happened on 9/11. I get your point, though, that what happened on, I'm double talking because my TikTok show, part of it has went down. But yeah, I get your point that what Governor Cuomo did in the New York area with seniors looked like a tragedy. It looked like a tragedy, but we were dealing with a novel virus. Just like a lot of folks are talking about washing dishes, leaving your groceries outside for 24 hours. Nobody knew what was going on. It was something we never experienced. Do you want to hold them accountable for trying to do what they thought was the right thing that led to the deaths of some people? I don't know. Nevertheless, folks, my TikTok side of the aisle went down. So, and I see somebody said not just seniors, veterans. Yeah. I don't know what to say. Like I said, they thought they were doing what was right. In hindsight, yeah, we know that folks overstated a lot of aspects of COVID, made us do a lot of things that were uncomfortable, set children's learning back years by not letting them go to school and things like that. But they weren't doing it intentionally. They thought they were doing what was best by the people. It's just now that we can armchair quarterback, we know they were overstepping their boundaries in a lot of areas, but they were trying their best to maintain society. You want to go back and lock them up for it? I don't know. I don't know about that one, but I do appreciate the participation, certainly for all of you folks. Joseph Kuhn in particular with the super chat off the chain. Thank you for all of you folks. Keep up the good work, bro. Kevin Alvarez, thank you. You got a sub for me, T-Dog. Appreciate it. Monday through Friday is how the program is ran. We don't censor, block, ban, or censor anyone. We go left of Bernie Sanders to him having dinner with QAnon. It's all about free speech here. You don't have to agree with the host. In fact, if you disagree with yours truly, nobody gives a damn. I do generally solicit that you smash that like button. I didn't do it much today, and I don't have a lot of likes. I don't know what to say. My YouTube audience can be like that sometimes, but I do appreciate the 7 of you that did smash the like button. Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. It is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Have a good day.